Hello, Turquoise Mama here, and I'm getting a chance to make some videos here at my house. So I'm making a few, and then I'm going to post them one at a time each day for the next few days or however many I get. So lucky you guys, I hope. But I wanted to talk about a subject about tax returns, just some information that someone might not understand and just thought was an interesting talking point. Uh, that back when Trump was president, he changed the way the standard deduction um, is done on the tax returns here in the United States. So this is applies for people who live in the United States. Um, so before, prior to him doing this, you would have your standard deduction. So if you're a single or married, or um, if you're married but filing separately, uh, there you would get a what was called a standard deduction, and then there was another deduction that you would get, like I think it was like $5,000 per dependent that you had. So if you're married, your spouse and your kids were your dependents. So for us, my husband would be able to claim five dependents because there's me and then we have four kids. So we would get basically 25,000 uh, deduction just for that. And then there was a uh, of course, then you have your standard deduction for being married, which was like at the last, I think it was like 12,500 or 12,800 or something like that. And then you would get, there was a child tax credit that you would get, and you could, for kids that were 17 or under and you're dependent on your tax return, you'd get $1,000 per 17-year-old or under. So what that does is they take all that amount. So they take your gross income and they subtract all those amounts for those deductions. So say you make 50,000, and then you have the standard deduction for 12,000, and then you have dependents. So for us, it had been, like I said, like I think it was like five at the last that I remember, it was like 5,000 per dependent. So that would be 25,000 there. So you're up to 25 plus 12. So it's trying to do math in my head. 30 some thousand, right? You're talking. It's 25 plus 12, so that's 37,000. And then we'd get the child tax credit for each child that was 17 and under. So if we had all four kids, that's still 17 and under, so that's another 4,000. So you're talking, what did I say, 37 plus another 4,000. So you're talking like $40,000. So you would take the $50,000 gross income, and you subtract the 40,000 or whatever it comes up with all your deductions, and then whatever is left, that's your taxable income. Now, also, of course, you now also have the earned income credit. So if you're here in the United States, you probably have heard of the earned income credit, and that's actually it's like they say you made a payment towards your taxes, so your income tax. So when you have a job and they're taking out the federal income tax out of your paycheck, well, the earned income credit is an amount based on your income and how many qualifying kids that you can claim. They come up with an amount that says, well, we're going to say you paid this amount into your federal taxes. So you would take that amount plus what they actually withdrew from your paycheck to come up with the amount of taxes that you paid or owe to the IRS. Now, when Trump was in office, what he did is he came up and he changed the tax return and made a one lump uh, number for the deduction part. So the standard deduction went to, like, for a married couple last year it was like 25,000 or 28,000. So it's still, I guess, in one sense, it would still be lower if we were still claiming, be able to claim all of our kids. Of course, now they're adults, so we can't claim them, and they got jobs and stuff of their own, so we can't claim them now. So how it's working is, instead of having to add up the standard deduction, the deduction for each dependent, and the child tax credits for those who have children 17 and under, it's now just one lump sum. And there's now one higher amount for the standard deduction. So instead of like 12,000, it's now like 28,000 or something for a married couple. And so it's kind of made the tax return simpler, but it's also changed how people give to charities, because before, what you could do is, when you give to a charity, you can claim the amount that you gave on your tax return, and what that would do is give you amount to add to the number to subtract from your income to come up with your taxable income. So if you have $50,000 income, you have all your standard deduction, all that income, all those numbers, then you would add the charity. But it's not that cut and dry, because you would have to actually itemize, and it was only the amount, like the standard deduction was the 12,000 something at the last I remember, and you had to give more than that. So it was, you would only be able to claim on your taxes anything that was above that standard amount. So and then you could deduct the difference. So if the standard deduction was 12,000 and you gave 15,000, then you would be able to claim additional 3,000 towards that 12,000 to bring down your taxable income. Well, because Trump has now changed that standard deduction and raised it and kind of lumped everything in one, you now, if you want to claim charity giving, or if you donate clothes to Salvation Army or Goodwill or whatever, it has now, anything that you donate has to go above that new standard deduction for a married couple, basing on a married couple, which is $20-some thousand. So you'd have to give past that, and then the difference would be able to help bring down your taxable income. And I think that it's now changed how things are, because, like, when you go to the thrift store, I'm noticing there's not nearly as much stuff there, and not nearly the variety that there was. And our family's always been a big thrift store shopper. Hey, I don't want to pay full price. I don't care about brand names and all that stuff, and if I can get something cheaper, I'm willing to do it. That's one way that I want to save money, and I don't have a problem with wearing used clothes, or using an item that was used, as long as it's still working. Hey, I'm willing to do it. And it's been kind of frustrating going to the thrift store lately, because there doesn't seem to be nearly as much stuff. And when I was talking to one of the workers a few months ago, I went into this one thrift store, and in the past they were a store that supported a charity organization that helped give jobs to mentally disabled people, and or maybe even physically disabled people, but it was mainly, I think, geared to mentally disabled people. Well, this one day I went in and I noticed that the signs and the pictures and stuff talking about that organization weren't on the wall anymore. So I was asking the cashier about it. He didn't even know what I was talking about. And I said, oh, I said, so I had to explain to him this organization. It was helped with giving jobs and stuff to these mentally challenged people. And the thrift store, this thrift store was supporting them. And he said, oh, yeah, they don't do that anymore. And I think one of the things is it's because of this change that Trump has done that is now keeping people wanting to donate their stuff. Because if you can't get a receipt that you're going to be able to use to help you with your taxes and your filing your tax return for income tax, then why donate? Which is really frustrating, because then it just shows you how selfish people are. So it's like, oh, so the only reason you were donating was so you can help your taxes or reduce how much taxes you have to pay. Not, oh, let's help these people, especially like that one was helping people with challenges that have things that it's difficult for them in their life. Goodwill and Salvation Army do the same thing. So, those thrift stores also, So I'm just, I'm a little disappointed in people. It's just one of those things where thanks people, can't you just give anyway? So it's like I'm wondering, where's all this stuff going now then? Like, if people aren't donating to the thrift stores, then what are they doing with it? Are they just throwing it out now? Like who cares? I can't get a tax write off. I'm just going to throw it out. And it's, a lot of that stuff is still useful. And I'm wanting to buy it. But anyway, I just wanted to do a video talking about this, that people may not understand some of the dynamics going on in this area. And I'm open to having any comments, complaints, or questions anybody would have, and feedback on this subject. And I'm trying to think if there's any other information about this that would be pertinent and pertain to it. But again, if anybody has any feedback, that'll help keep the conversation going, or bring up other angles of this subject for us to discuss, and anybody who comes and views this video. So anyway, hope you learned something today. Hope it was one of those, hey, you learn something new every day days through my video. And thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.